Hey everybody, it's Brian Asbury, and I just wanted to welcome you to today's episode. If you could, like today's episode, hit that subscribe button, and let's continue to grow the developmentally speaking brand. Today, my guest is a OVW Triple Crown champion, ladies and gentlemen, Elijah Burke. Elijah, how's it going?
It is going. I see you did your research.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me back, man.
Thank you. So before we get into professional wrestling, what made you want to get into sports? Because I've seen that you had a pretty impressive amateur boxing career before heading into professional wrestling.
That's crazy that you asked, and it's a good question. Um, Boxing, by way of allowing me to entertain the masses, kind of drew me in, and that's basically, I in high school, all the way through elementary, obviously I was involved in sports, basketball, football, um, and whatever the case may be. But and I'm hearing some feedback, just so you know, on your side. I don't want to mess up your thing here, but yeah. So I ended up playing football. I played basketball, and those things were good. I was never the center of attention, of course, because I wasn't the top guy on either of those teams. But what I will say is, once I got up older in age, and I was with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, I had an opportunity to partake in something called Guns and Hoses, and that's just straight up amateur boxing. Um, and Firemen versus policemen, and it's one of those type things, and it was for charity. And so I said that's something I can do. I want to do that. We're gonna be in front of all these people, and about 5,000 people at the University of North Florida Arena. So I was like, okay, I'm down. I'll do it. But uh, it just so happened at that time, specifically in Florida, tough men competitions were running rampant. I mean, you had tough men competition and fights every week.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me to prepare for that, in part with my training, I started going doing some tough man fights for my first, big amateur match. And yeah, it kind of became a thing.
So how long did you do this for?
3 years, man. I got so hooked on the boxing. And again, I was going out there to, again, just to entertain. I don't like hurting people. And let me just put that out there. I don't like hurting people. I'm going out there with a boa around my neck, right? I'm going out there with robes on, a la Ric Flair style. I ain't talking about no bathrobe. I had robes made. This is before I even got into professional wrestling. I was already into the entertainment
Mm-hmm.
business. So I got robes made in Tough Man. I go out there with my black boa, and I'm coming out the voodoo child. So for me, especially during that time, and I'm a huge fan of Nitro. During, I just want to entertain. That's why I was going out there. If I could have walked out into the ring and not got hit, but just made an interesting left, I would have done
So what made you want to do the transition from boxing to professional wrestling, and how did that come about?
Well, it was the whole boxing thing was just something to placate that need for me, that urgency, that dream that I always had of being a professional wrestler. So that was just a for now thing. I never had any intentions um, at that particular time to say, okay, I'm going to box for 3 years and then go to wrestling. No, it didn't happen that way. My only intention while boxing was to get to 100.
Mm-hmm.
After I had embarked on such a huge win streak, and again, you got Goldberg going on in WCW, that thing happened. So I'm just trying to get to 100. I want to set a record of 100 wins, no losses. I didn't get there because I got that one loss, and that one loss was I was done. That was my last one because I felt like I could only go down. But it just was happenstance. I was booking someone in the jail at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, pretrial detention facility, and um, I don't just by chance, and this is before we had these Macs and all these Intel, higher type computers. While waiting, across the top of the screen came first ever WWE Open Tryout Camp, and I'm going, what? Like this got to like why? How did this pop up on the jail's computer? And I clicked it, and it opened up the OVW first ever tryout camp, and I printed it right then and there. Like because I had always being a good friend of mine named Joe Mobley back in Jacksonville. He was like a 350-pound, 6'5", size 15 feet, wearing true walking, fire talking, breathing redneck, and he was my brother. And we've always talked about going to uh, wrestling training. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We were outside, you know, in our, years prior when Nitro was running and all of that coming through Jacksonville. We're out there wrestling in the parking lot, waiting on the guys to come out the back. So we were those type. I was a true diehard fan, much like a lot of the guys are today. But when I saw that, I printed it. I sent some of my boxing stuff to Jim Cornette, my look, to OVW, and Jim Cornette called me, and the rest is kind of history.
So you get select. Was it just was it an open tryout, or was it like Cornette called you? So did he select who he wanted to come?
Yeah, yeah. There were obviously they were only accepting 50 people.
Okay.
Okay, 50 people. So that's a good $5,000 for them, just like that. But yeah, it was a tryout, 50 people, and you can only imagine because OVW was the only WWE developmental territory. So many people, applied, and yeah, Jim Cornette, Danny Davis, they went through and selected 50 people. And I remember Jim being pissed. I remember him talking to me about it after the fact when he called me to let me know that, hey, look, you don't know a headlock from a wrist lock. Uh, you don't know how to run the ropes without tripping over your feet, but you got something. You're a natural athlete. You got a good look. You're young. You got charisma that can't be taught. You have something. You're not like some of the guys that sent me a picture of them, saying that they're 5'11" and a solid 220 pounds, and when they got here, they look like Homer Simpson. You know, he's like, because a lot of people did send old pictures.
Hmm.
I happened to see some of them, and I don't blame them. It got them there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jim Cornette was the one that I think made most of those decisions. He invited me back, and um, the first person I got in the ring with was Christopher Daniels. Go figure. That's
Oh yeah.
crazy. Christopher Daniels get in the ring with me and trust this boxer. And I was running the ropes and not necessarily hitting the ropes. Now I just jump into them, but back then it's truly a art, to learn how to run the ropes and take falls and all that other type of stuff. But eventually, Jim Cornette called me back, as I was saying, and he said, "I cannot promise you a contract if you come back. I know you with the sheriff's office. I know you just brought your mama house. I know you take care of your sister's kids." He said, "I can't guarantee you a contract if you come back, but if you come back and you train here at OVW, I can almost guarantee you a contract. There's no way you can't." And so I resigned from the JSO. I went and I trained, and a year later I was signed.
Awesome. Who were your trainers down there at the time?
Well, obviously Cornette was a big part.
Hmm.
We had Al Snow, we had Lance Storm, and I think they were the main ones. And Mike Mondo, uh, I started with Mike Mondo in the amateur class. So, excuse me, Nick Dismore. Nick Dismore ran the amateur class. Mondo helped out because he was a little far advanced. So yeah, but Nick Dinsmore ran the amateur class. Mondo was a big part of helping that. And then by way of my progression, I was able to start training with the guys under contract. And that's where the Al Snow and Lance Storm and so many others came into play.
Was it everything you thought it would be, making that transition into professional wrestling and going straight to OVW and learning basically the
The right way?
WWE way?
Yeah. Um, it was a dream come true just to be in OVW.
Hmm.
It was, I mean, they were running television. I was a part of a television production where, like, man, just out of the freaking, what do they call it? Out of the pot into the fire, however it goes,
Hmm.
like right into the mix of things. And I'm witnessing live television or live to tape television. So they take the television shows as if it was live. There was no stop and goes. And what that was doing was preparing you for
Hmm.
WWE television. And it was everything that I thought it would be and then some. I mean, here's a little black Afro-headed kid from Jacksonville, Florida, in the heart of you know. I used to make a joke and say that the mayor of Louisville, of Kentucky, he has a triple wide trailer just right up the street. So I'm in the heart of Kentucky in Louisville, and the audience that looks like me at that time is probably 0.2%,
Hmm.
of the max that would be in there. And these people gravitated to me. Yeah, again, it's one of those things that is just it's hard to explain, man. But I had a connection with them, and they with me, and they shot me straight to the top. And so a year later, after training, here I am. I'm the OVW heavyweight champion.
So while you were training, were you working TVs, or did he not put you on TV until you were signed?
Oh no, I became the OVW champion before I was even signed, and that was like a no-no.
Hmm.
Like Jim Cornette, that's like a no. You're supposed to have signed guys
Yep.
as the champion. Jim Cornette, the hell with that. This is the most over guy, It's the most over guy out there in the city. I'm gonna make him my champion. And so that's what he did. And yeah, I was already on TV. I wasn't signed. I was the top star of OVW. I wasn't signed,
Hmm.
but I got signed.
It seemed like that's how a lot of times it was, especially in that era, is whether WWE was interested right then. If Cornette, or Danny was interested, like they strapped the rocket to you, they would almost show them that they were wrong, that they didn't sign you sooner.
Right.
Hmm.
Again, everybody before me at that time that I'm aware of, whether that was Johnny Jeter, whether that uh, was Tank Tolan, Ren Albright, Matt Morgan,
Hmm.
and the list goes on. And certainly my good friend Matt Capitelli.
Hmm.
Those guys were already signed. So the championship was normally on someone who was signed because they were trusted, they were getting paid. You can count on. They had to be at every show.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it was a real honor for me when the I got that call to be in that position.
So after you got signed, how was there any talks of what you wanted to do or what they wanted you to do, or were they just letting you be you, or did they have any ideas as time progressed before your main
Oh, I was
roster?
called up with the Spirit Squad.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first foray into WWE. Yeah, I was that's what I was supposed to be doing, the Spirit Squad. And I went into the office with Johnny Ace and went back to Vince McMahon and politely declined
How'd
it.
that
And
go?
great.
Yeah.
Vince respected the hell out of me saying no. Other
Mm-hmm.
people didn't. Other people thought, "Oh my God, you said no to Vince. How could you?
Yeah.
How you turn down an opportunity?" Yeah, so I got some heat for that for whatever reason because I said no to Vince McMahon, and yet I mean, even in the background of your setting, you can see me standing in the ring with Vince McMahon
Hmm.
because Vince said, I respect that. We'll send you back down and we'll bring you back up when we have something for you. And that's what he did. Uh, and because I said no to the Spirit Squad, Johnny Jeter, who been deserved, should have been out of developmental,
Hmm.
and Mike Mondo both got an opportunity because I said no. Initially, it was just myself, Ken Doan, Nick Nemeth, and Mitch. When I said no, Mike Mondo and Johnny Jeter got to go.
Well, that's amazing because I'm from Southern Indiana, so I got to see all you guys before before the main roster. So that's what I always thought was so special about being in the area that I was in is I got to see everybody develop who they were before, and because 9 times out of 10 it seemed like there was so much more invested, maybe because it was a smaller um, pond, if you would, that they were building stars around OVW, and then they get to the main roster, and then it was within 2 years you're gone or a couple of months. It seemed like they never, if it didn't work week one, they were ready to call somebody else up or do something in that time frame.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, every idea isn't a great idea,
Hmm.
and even if it's a okay idea, sometimes you don't have the right people for it. Case in point, again, I did not feel like I could go out and properly portray Vince's creation.
Hmm.
Spirit Squad was Vince's creation. Vince sat in front of us and said, "You're going to make a lot of money." Yeah, you're going to make a lot of money. I mean, he literally said that to us. He said, "I was on my plane. I came up with this idea. And if it's my idea, I'm going to push it." That's
Hmm.
exactly what he said, man. And those guys, when they did that, were from the moment they were introduced as the Spirit Squad, they went straight to the top.
Yep.
They were they were in the main feuds. Boom, boom, boom. Shawn Michael and DX, Triple H. I mean, they were in the mix of everything with every top star, the legends, Roddy Piper, Ric Flair, everybody. But as soon as it served its purpose with Vince, it fizzled,
Hmm.
and and it was done.
I, so how long after that did they come up? Was it who came up with the idea to put you with Sylvester Turkai and bring you up
I
that
just
way?
I just got I mean it wasn't too long after that.
Yeah.
Just some not even a year, but just some months. Yeah, maybe it took another half a year or so, but once that Spirit Squad stuff died
Hmm.
down, um, yeah. So if the Spirit Squad was, if the Spirit Squad was '05 to '06, I would say right after they were done, I went up. I would say that because I don't recall being on the road with them at all, even though
Yeah.
I know I was on SmackDown. Um, it didn't take long at all, and it was the right call.
Hmm.
And that's why sometimes we can't jump on everything. Sometimes we truly have to be patient, and sometimes let it come to you versus you trying to go to it.
Hmm. It seemed like a lot of people at the time did just say yes, just to get to
Of
the main
course,
roster. Yeah.
Eugene, Nick
Hmm.
Dinsmore, Matt Morgan with the stuttering gimmick. Of course, who says no? Like the goal, as should be everyone's goal today, is to get to WWE.
Hmm.
It's the mecca. It
Yeah.
is what it is. But back then, it, it was let's go, let's get it going now.
Yep.
They didn't, I want to get there now. I don't think a lot of people was thinking longevity. I was.
Hmm.
I was thinking long term. I knew Spirit Squad for me was not going to be long term. And I knew that if I got in that, that is what I'd be settled with for
Hmm.
the rest of my career. Shout out to Dolph Ziggler, the only one who was able to go back down, stick it out, reinvent himself, and then go on to be world champion. My guy, so much respect for him.
Oh yeah. You did your run on the main roster, and then you were in Impact, the NWA. You're all over the place. It seems like so your longevity has stretched for just as long, and it seems like everywhere you go, you're so successful, and people still attach themselves to you. And what's next for the Pope?
I appreciate that. Well, as you know, we did the we're now doing some Derby City
Mm-hmm.
wrestling, you know. So I was brought back up to Louisville for Derby City wrestling in conjunction with the United Wrestling network, which is ran by Dave Marquez. And man, what a great turnout they had at that brand new facility. It was pretty cool to be a part of that. Supposed to be was supposed to be back there on April 16th, but travel and everything prevented me. So I won't be a part of that, but I plan on being back. They got something good going on, so I just like to, as you just mentioned, have an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of leave my print everywhere I go. And as long as there's a connection, I'm not gonna say I do it forever, but as long as the fans are receptive, they got a connection for Pope, they react to Pope. Still, highly. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I take pride in not having to go out and beg for a cheer or for a response. I take pride in that. When
Mm-hmm.
I can walk out of the curtain and people are going crazy, all right, I'm there. That's what I like.
Absolutely.
Whether it's Derby, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
NWA, whether it's any show, as long as I walk out and the people respond, boom, I don't have to beg for a reaction. Never have, never will. If I got to beg, my time is up.
I agree, and that you're just people. Like I said, people love to see the Pope wrestle. And all these years later, you didn't need WWE. You weren't just a former WWE star. You're still just as relevant as you were 20 years ago, and
I
that's a
appreciate that.
testament to who you are.
Indeed, man. I appreciate that.
I
That's
know
that's.
you're. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just gonna say that's facts. That's
Oh, okay.
facts. I'll even say more of it. It's crazy. People often, and yeah, I know we press for time, but people often, it's crazy when you're in the WWE, which is the height of anyone's career,
Mm-hmm.
but yet your WWE take a back seat to everything else you've done.
Mm-hmm.
That's testament, not to
Yep.
pat myself on the back, but I walk through airports, I get Pope. I don't get Elijah Burke. So
Yep.
there you
I want to ask you one more question before we go. I know you've got to get on the road. If you had any advice to give to anybody getting into professional wrestling, what would it be?
shut up and listen. God gave you one mouth, two ears, which means if you use two, you can get more than trying to use one. This one, for the main part, if you're using it, you're putting it out. I know some of you are putting stuff in it, but it's double the amount in the wrestling business. Shut up and listen. That is one of the most valuable piece of advice I learned. Um, and again, I don't know if it was ever told to me, but certainly I know I've witnessed that being said time and time again, and it just makes so much sense. If you're speaking, you open yourself up for a lot of you know things that may not necessarily have to be a thing. You may misspeak. You may say something that don't need to be said. But if you're quiet and you're just listening, man, there's so much more that you can take in and learn. So that's the first bit of advice I always tell anybody, and that's the first answer that I always give. Just shut up and listen. But for today specifically, learn how to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling, if you learn how to wrestle and learn psychology, you'll get so much more out of this business than what the business may be willing to give you. Because the days of 20-year careers, which I am in my 20th year, which is crazy, the days of 20-year careers are a thing of the past. If you learn, it's okay to go flip. It's okay to go dive. It's okay to go do 450s. It's okay to go do springboards. It's okay to do all of that. But at the end of the day, it's wrestling that is and storytelling that is going to get the people engaged. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to go out and just do moves for the sake of doing moves. I want to elicit emotion from the viewers. I want to elicit emotion from the fans. If you can elicit emotion and get the people connected and hooked to a story that you're telling, you don't have to do one 450 and you got them. And then if you're going to do the 450, at least you can place it at a spot in the match in which you'll get the most out of doing the move. It'll mean a lot more. So learn psychology, learn how to wrestle, and hopefully you'll get to 20 years. I'm just saying, at least 10 years, because right now we're watching our brethrens,
Mm-hmm.
our sisters be out on the injured list
Mm-hmm.
for just some of the most craziest things. I talked about Dante Martin's injury on Post Point of View podcast with Elijah Burke. I talked about it there. It's just unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even going to be the finish of the match, probably. I don't know. But if I had to take a gamble, I'll say it wasn't going to be the finish. And obviously, we wish him a speedy recovery. And hopefully, he's able to come back and have the same type of career that he's had prior to that injury.
Where can the people reach out to you?
Hey, you guys know again, I got my own podcast on all podcast platforms, The Post Point of View with Elijah Burke. You can also contact me at the Black Pope. That's at the DA Black Pope over on Instagram and Twitter, as well as Elijah Burke on Facebook.com. Head over to the Love Alive Charities website. My guy here is a great supporter. We appreciate his support. I think they acknowledged that, by the way, or we acknowledged that I did. I don't know who your support. We always acknowledge everyone's support on the website, the Facebook page for the Love Life Charity, and on this Instagram. So, yeah, guys, $1. If you can go donate $1, go see what we do for the community in and around Jacksonville, Florida. It means the world.
Pope, thank you again for coming on today. I appreciate your time and be safe in your travels.
Hey, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you.